Well, well. Long time no see, Batsy.
What are you talking about? I've made about 1 million movies in the last few years.
Yeah, but Batfleck didn't really turn out the way that we had once hoped, did it?
Do you bleed? You will.
Well, I suppose not.
And I was rooting for you, Batfleck. We were all rooting for you.
Well, what about the Christian Bale run? That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That ended nearly 10 years ago, Batsy. That was my childhood, not this generation's.
How many good movies have Green Lantern fans got? In the grand scheme of DC superheroes, I think my batting average is looking pretty good.
Sure, you're definitely the reigning king of DC movies, there's no denying that. It's just that the mainstream media has become so flooded with lazy depictions of you, and I'm getting tired of having to explain to everyone that you're not just some dumb brute. Your power isn't in your ability to punch bad guys or overreact to Superman. Your power is your intelligence and your empathy. You're the same person who once held a child's hand through the dying process to ease the transition, to make her less afraid, because the fear of the average person was once important to you. You've adopted multiple orphans off the street despite lacking any paternal instinct. You're actually a pretty terrible father a lot of the time, gotta be honest. But the point is that you're not the sort of person who's able to witness any amount of human suffering and just sit back helpless. You act, you strategize, you respond with love before violence whenever such a thing is possible.
I read your mind. That's how I knew you weren't going to use Mrs. Waller's weapon on me. You were going to try and talk me into fixing what I've changed before I die.
Yes.
I'm dying very soon.
Yes. I'm sorry.
That's the Batman I fell in love with when I was a kid. Where'd that Batman go? Why did I lose my hero? Did you fall asleep?
Huh? Ugh, sorry, I guess I'm just not used to hearing people talk about their feelings anymore. Why am I here again?
You're here because the trailer for the new Batman movie just dropped, and you're gonna watch it with me whether you like it or not.
Why?
Because if this is yet another trailer that's just gonna trick me into thinking that it's a good movie when it's not, then I need you to witness both the elation and the ultimate disappointment in a fan's eyes when all of this is through. Maybe that's the only way I can get through to you.
You really are my lamest villain, you know that?
True, but shut up and watch the trailer with me.
Police!
Who's that supposed to be? Oh, the Riddler. Fun. I do appreciate that even though it seems as though the movie is going to be taking a much darker tone, they still cast an actor with a very comedic background, like Paul Dano. He's got titles such as The Girl Next Door and Little Miss Sunshine under his belt, but he's also got some more dramatic titles as well. 12 Years a Slave is on his resume. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do, and the Riddler's one of my all-time favorite characters from the comics. Usually a much more light-hearted character. In the past, we've had actors such as Jim Carrey and Frank Gorshin fill the roles of this character. Frank Gorshin is often cited as everyone's favorite live-action Riddler, and you might think that it's just a case of everyone liking the original better, but no, in this case he genuinely is the better version of the character.
At last, boy wonder Robin.
But keep in mind, this was way back in the day when Batman was a much lighter story just in general. Ever since the 80s, they've definitely been experimenting with trying to find ways to make Batman a darker and darker and darker story. Somehow the Riddler is one of those characters that managed to avoid that treatment for the most part. He has gotten some darker interpretations before, like in the Arkham games, he's an almost Jigsaw-like figure. Batman Hush also gave us a much darker interpretation of the character where he's suffering from a brain tumor. Gotham gave us a version of the Riddler that seemed to be kind of a serial killer in the first season, but at some point they kind of just completely forgot that plotline and instead decided to focus on what's the slash name for Riddler and Penguin? Nigmobblepot. Nigmobblepot? That is a horrible word to say. I've heard some speculation that out of all of the darker versions of Riddler that we've gotten in the past, this movie will be drawing more from those Hush comics. But again, nothing completely solid on that. Let's just continue with the trailer.
Fear is a tool, but when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning.
So we have the movie here acknowledging the role that fear plays in Batman's entire being, playing into this idea of him as being like this boogeyman for criminals. You know, it's like this whole don't rob banks, kids, because then the Batman will get ya.
Hey, you always like the more gothic elements of my story.
I like it, I just need to see how far they're gonna lean into it. Cool armor.
I've been trying to reach you.
One thing that I do have to say is Robert Pattinson looks pretty good in the bat suit. His jawline fits the cowl very well. Hey, so maybe I have been being too harsh on ya.
See, I'm not Batfleck anymore. I've changed.
Yeah, we'll see. We still got nearly 2 minutes left in the trailer.
I can take care of myself.
I have to admit that I really like the casting of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. For some reason, it's given me very Batman Year One vibes. You know, she's tough, she's hardened, but there's gonna be an interesting story here between her and Batman for sure.
If this continues,
Okay, this might be the point where I start getting a little bit hesitant. How many villains have we had show up so far? We've got Riddler, we've got Catwoman, and now we have Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Oh my god, is Nick Mamelpot coming back? No! I escaped from Gotham once before! Colin Farrell as Penguin, I have to admit I'm not hating that casting choice. It seems to suit pretty well. I just have one problem. Why so many? It's just that we've seen in superhero movies before that overpacking your movie with too many villains makes it too busy. You're juggling a lot of characters with a lot of heavy stories. You need to evoke at least some sense of empathy for the villain, so you need to tell the villain's story well. And there's just not enough time in a mainstream Hollywood movie to devote well enough to 4 characters in fact, because we've got to fit Batman in there somewhere.
Yeah, but you're just basing that opinion off of past experience. Go back to the first time you watched a superhero movie, when the idea of an entire Arkham Asylum movie would have genuinely excited you. Isn't it kind of cool to see so many characters you love in one place? Isn't it possible that this might be the one time it works? Maybe your only problem here is you need to learn how to trust more.
I'm not trusting you ever again after what Jesse Eisenberg did to Lex Luthor.
it won't be long before you've nothing left.
Little side note here, we also have to comment that Andy Serkis as Alfred, great casting. Fully on board. I've always loved to see Alfred as more of a strong fighter type. You know, he used to be a spy, and he's just a really cool character who gets undermined a lot of the time, so I feel like Andy Serkis might be a good opportunity to bring out a little bit of that coolness. We've had more than enough live-action Batman movies just kind of represent him as some old man. I did like Jeremy Irons' casting as Alfred because I thought that he might bring out a little bit more in Alfred, but Andy Serkis, I think, is probably better suited to the role, honestly. He just has, to me anyway, a slightly stronger presence that I'd really love to see him take to this role.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart.
I have to admit that I kind of like Colin Farrell's Penguin voice. I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that Colin Farrell is going to make a better Penguin than Danny DeVito, but that's not too hard. I think I make a better Penguin than Danny DeVito. Again, my all-time favorite superhero movie.
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
I have to admit, I'm a sucker for Batman and Catwoman. I'm a sucker. They're just such a cool, classic example of a true crime film noir, like femme fatale detective type couple. It's beautiful. I'm so excited for it in this movie. Yeah. Stop looking at me like that. DC has released good trailers to bad movies before. I'm not bending yet. Jesus. Okay, so there's gonna be some good action scenes in this movie. Okay.
What's black?
They appear to be labeling Riddler as a serial killer this time, and I believe that's Riddler. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments section. But based off of all of the textual evidence, all of the visual evidence here, I'm assuming that this is Riddler and that we're getting serial killer Riddler. Interesting. I'm on board. I'd love to see different versions of Riddler that make him a little bit darker, so very excited for this version.
All over.
have to admit, I'm getting very, like, Seven vibes from that clip right there with See You in Hell. Maybe not Seven specifically, but I'm thinking along the same vibe, you know, that gritty detective energy, that horrible, dirty crime scene. Am I gonna like Colin Farrell as Penguin? I think I'm gonna like Colin Farrell as Penguin, you guys. I think this is happening. I think... What a cool shot! Oh, what a cool shot! Oh, that's so cool.
I think you liked it.
Yeah, of course I liked the trailer. I have a level of nostalgia for this property. I'm excited to see it again. But now it's all on you, Betsy. Tell you what, the movie's good, I let you go. The movie's bad, we're gonna have to learn another lesson.
Go.
And in the meantime, my lovely hench people, why don't you let me know what you thought of it? Might help me make a decision about what to do with this one. But in the meantime, make sure to switch that red button over to black, and I will see you all next time. If you were to go down to the description box, you would find the Amazon link to my book, Poor Pretty Creature, available wherever you can find ebooks. And well, I'm still here. Although it is completely unnecessary to donate, I do understand that a lot of people are struggling financially right now. I did just want to mention that I have a Patreon, which will be linked below, as well as give thanks to the people who already support me there. Andre K, Scott Falks, Thrill House, and Wilson L. Ricks III. Donations can be as little as $1 a month, but as I said, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Your support means the world to me, but so does the support of every single person who gives a like or a comment or even just a view. I can't wait to see you all next time.